Greetings and hallucinations. Welcome to Spun Together. My name is Buddy. This is episode number 3, November the 30th, 2022. I'd like to welcome you to my home. It's a little bit of show and tell what I've been up to. It'll be including knitting, no crochet this time, no spinning, little bit of sewing, but not really enough to talk about. Do have a painting, but it's trial painting, so I'm going to ask your opinion on it. So I hope everyone in the U.S. had a good Thanksgiving and you were nice and kind to your family and enjoyed your time, whether it was alone, with family, or however you chose to spend it. All right, let's get on with what I've been up to. First, I'd like to talk, a couple of finished objects. I do have 3. I've got a couple of hats. I have a friend who is undergoing chemo, so I thought, well, let's make her a few hats. So I dug through the acrylics. This one started out with the basic Ross hat, and that's just my go-to. I did 1x1 rib. I think it was a number 10 US 10 needle, which is a 5mm. And I got almost through with decreases and decided to scrunch it up a little bit just to give it a little gathering at the top. So I have the one in the purple, and I also did a rib one, and again also out of acrylic. The purple, I have no idea what the name is or what the brand is. This is some Pound of Love that was left over from my sweater. It's a 2x2 rib, and I did do the decreases in pattern, and it's got a good squish to it, nice and soft. And I'm going to let her wash these as she normally would, and that way she will have whatever detergent she is used to. For chemo patients, you need to be very careful what type of fiber you do use. No animal hair because of sensitivity. And that's the last thing they need to undergo is any kind of sensitivity problems, issues, scratching, allergic reactions, anything like that. So if you're going to do chemo hats for someone, please check to see what they like as well as what is recommended. Any of your cancer centers or even Google will let you know the types of materials to use, and any pattern really. And one of my whips, my works in progress. You've seen the medallion that I started. This, I was testing it. I was going to do an Afghan, and I wanted to see how the pattern was going to work out, but I wanted to see how lace would play into it. So far, I'm not sure. I think I like just the plain medallion. I would be doing it out of worsted weight, DK at the smallest, just a pinhole cast on for the center, and yarn overs for my increases every other row to give me a nice little pinwheel. As for the rest of it, I don't think that would work for an Afghan, especially using a larger yarn. But I was testing out the pattern before I decided to do it. It's not a written pattern. It's one I'm just playing with in my head to see how it would work. I think when I do the Afghan, I'm just going to keep it just the pinwheel, and then do some rapid increases for the last maybe 3 to 4 inch border, and then just do like knit 3, purl 3, and let them sort of overlap so that there won't be any rolling, there won't be any ribbed or anything, just a nice little overlapping pattern. probably 1 or 2 stitch overlap. I'll have to see how many stitches I have on the needles to work with. But this gave me a good idea of what I was doing and what I wanted. So next thing would be, after I get a few other projects complete, wintertime is my Afghan knit time. I curl up, move the chair over closer to the register. That way when the heat comes on, I can be nice and toasty. When the heat's not on, I have something to cover up with. And I can work with a big bulk in my lap and stay warm. Next thing I've been working on, which is also part of an acquisition? Yes. I did get the yarn from my mother's sweater. I've got the Snuggly Wuggly, and it's a 3-ply, the Loops and Threads brand, and I did get her the color of pale blue. Maybe it'll focus, maybe it won't. But it is a pale blue color. I have completed both sleeves, so they're finished. They're marked. They should be the proper length for her. I went basically with what the pattern suggested. The only thing I changed was I did not do the last few decreases here, but I did go a needle size down on the cuff to draw them in more. She's like me, she does not like them tight. She likes a little bit of bagginess, but the cuff would bring it in just enough so if she wishes to pull them up, they'll be easy to pull up. I did magic loop. I know, I'm not a fan of it either, but it was the lesser of the evils at the time. And I've also completed the pockets. So I have 2 little pockets ready to put on. I've got those on holding needles, so they're ready to go. All I have to do is just knit them in as I go. And I think what I'm going to do with these is just knit that bottom row in. And that way it'll be easier for me to judge when I'm close to the bottom. And I'll know how much I need, because I want at least a couple of inches before the rib, and this way I will not have to allow for the 6-inch pocket. It'll just be easier to judge, and then I can mattress stitch the pocket onto the sweater itself. But the color is fairly nice. It's a DK weight. It's soft. It is an acrylic. Her recommendation or her request was easy care, something easy, just put in the wash, put in the dry. She doesn't want to have to worry with it. It's going to be wear around the house and do whatever. I am working using the pattern, my standard go-to pattern, the Dream Carding, and this is it right here. Sleeves I did circular, and as opposed to seamed up on the inside. And what I was doing for the front and the back, I'm not happy with. So I am going to be frogging this part and starting it over, but not the sleeves, not the pockets. I've got the front and the back yoke started. I've already joined together for the underarm, but I'm doing a self-binding around the band, or a self-banding, whichever. I am not happy with this at all. There is a twisted stitch, and when I tried to work it out, I think I twisted it even more. So, that's a few days worth of knitting that I am going to frog and start over. I did do the short rows for the shoulders, so it does have a good shoulder slope to it. And so everything is not straight across and then the drop down. It does have the shaping to it. It is a drop shoulder, so that helps tremendously. But I'm not pleased with how the bands are coming out. I've got a couple of twists that I just cannot work out. The more I tried to work it, the worse they became. I set it aside, put it in timeout, and it still did not want to do what I wanted it to do. So I have already used, for the pockets and the sleeves, I went through one ball. It's 141 grams. I have approximately a fourth of a ball left on here, and then I have another full ball, so I should be able to get everything without any problems. I'm doing these on my ChiaoGoo US 7s. That's 4.5 millimeter. For me, it goes rather quickly. I am a relatively fast knitter. I'm not the fastest in the world, but I'm not the slowest either. So I'm enjoying working with it, figuring out what I'm doing that I want to keep, what I don't want to keep, coming up with my own designs. The cardigan that I made for myself, that was basically the same thing I did with it. I started, I worked the back, I worked the front, and then I joined them at the underarm, so it was all one piece, no seams. But on this one, where I was trying it with the band at the same time, somehow I twisted something. I think it was when I switched directions with the knitting, and it just knotted and twisted odd. I could not get it to smooth out, so I'm just going to start it over. It's about 4 days worth of knitting, give or take, so it's not that bad. For me, it's not that bad. And with the acquisitions, I've already started one. I wanted to see how this was going to work up. I'd made a little trip to Michael's and I found a new to me yarn. It's their Loops and Thread Eco Cotton. So I thought, let's give it a try. It's a little bit less than the Peaches and Cream. It was about the same price as the Premier. This has 75 grams, where the other was 56. So I thought, okay, I'm getting a little bit extra mileage out of it. It feels like the Peaches and Cream, but not as sized as heavy. You can tell it's cotton. So it is a washcloth or utilitarian type cotton. It's a number 4 weight, where the Premier is a number 3 weight. This one is in the colorway Pewter. So I used the size 6, the 4 millimeter. It worked up in between the Premier and the Peaches and Cream. It still has that cotton feel to it, but working with it, it was more like the Premier. It does have, let's see, what's the specs on here? It's made in Turkey. Yeah, 85% recycled cotton, 15% polyester. The polyester makes it workable. It doesn't burn your fingers when you tension it, and it doesn't leave rope burns as you work on it. When I work with cotton, I always use a wooden needle. I don't know why, it's just something I got in the habit of doing. there's no real rhyme or reason. I used to use aluminum needles all the time. That's what I learned on. That's what I used for years. Sometimes cotton would just slide off, and sometimes it would stay on. Sometimes the stitches would be tight, sometimes loose. With the wooden needles, I have more of a control over my gauge. And when they do slide off, it's because I've pushed a little too hard one way or the other, or I haven't pushed enough and they slide backwards. But I do maintain better control with the wooden needles on the cotton. Other than that, I'm not a fan of the wooden needles unless it is something sort of slippery. Excuse me. I also purchased the eggplant, the same brand, the same type. If you know me, you know I love my purple. Grays, purples, reds, bright colors. I love my jewel tones in general. So if it's a jewel tone, it's one of my favorites. So I can't say I have one favorite when I have several. Along with that purchase, this is my standard go-to, keep on hand, because I do not keep a lot of yarn. I do not have a big stash. I usually buy for a project in mind, but this is one that I do like to keep. It's Gentry Gray. It's Patton's Croy, 50 gram. It's just a Croy sock. It's, I think, 85. It's a number 1 weight, and yeah, 75 wool, 25% nylon. You can feel the wool in it, but you can also work with it because of the nylon. It is a superwash. I enjoy it for heels and toes, and I also enjoy it for socks, fingerless mitts. Not so much around the neck. It is too much grab for around the neck, plus a lot of fur. I have allergies, really bad allergies. A superwash wool I can have around my face, I can work with. Non-superwash I have a very difficult time with. Even if it's a superwash, I cannot put my hands near my eyes, and if I'm spinning, I cannot put my hands near my face. So I have to be careful with what fibers I do work with. That's one reason I use acrylic so much. I don't have to worry about allergies. And a couple of other purchases, yeah, they were having their sale, so you'll notice I do like to work with cotton. This is soft. It's like old t-shirt soft. It was a number 2 weight, 50 cotton, 52 cotton, 48 acrylic. This reminds me of an old t-shirt. I've not worked with it yet, but just the feel on the ball, it reminds me of an old t-shirt. I do have an old cotton sweater. I've had it for years. I think I got it at Goodwill. It's about 2-3 sizes too big. It's been through the wash, been through the dryer. It's just like an old pair of jeans. It's comfortable, it's warm, it's wear it around the house. It's got a couple of stains on it. It's just a blanket around me. It's my Linus blanket. Just easy to wear, fun to wear. Don't have to worry about it. If I want to go out in it, I'll go out. If I want to stay in the house, I'll stay in the house. That's about all of my yarny goodness as far as I can remember. Again, my purchases were made at Michael's. They were having they started their Black Friday sale the week before Thanksgiving, I think. Anyway, it was Thanksgiving week is when I went to Michael's. So I worked on my sweater for a few days before Thanksgiving, put it in timeout, finished the sleeves, decided what I wanted to do, tried a couple of other things that didn't work. So I made the decision I'm going to frog the top part, start it over, just start at the shoulders, work the backs, come back to the shoulders, work the front, meet at the underarm again, and go on down from there. Another thing I've been testing out is, last time I showed you some spinning that I had done. It was just my basic drop spindle, and I applied two different yarns together, or two different fibers together. So it's, the red and the green. So I thought, okay, that's going to be my logo, because, it's all about logos and advertisement and self-promotion. But the colors, I knew I was not going to use those colors. That's just something I had on hand, picked it up, worked with it. So should I stay with the magenta and the turquoise, or should I move to other colors? Should I go with more of a truer red and a truer blue? Because I also have to think, when it blends, am I going to get mud? Again, this was just give it a try and see what happens, see if I liked it. And should I write spun together down here, or should I just leave it as this? So that's my sample. The other one is going to be larger, and I'll probably put it behind me. I do not have a wall of yarn. I do not want a wall of yarn. I do not need a wall of yarn. I wouldn't know what to do with it if I did. Some things, the more you have, the less you can figure out what you want to make. And for me anyway, and that's the way I would be. When I had totes of quilt pieces and fabric and totes of yarn, it's just like when you walk into a full closet and you see nothing to wear. That I understand that, because that's the way I was looking at the quilt pieces and the fabric and the yarn and art supplies, and I had to just tone it down. Otherwise, I could not see what I had for having so much. I was not able to see the trees for the forest. But I'm happy with one tote of yarn 90% of the time. It gives me an excuse to get out. I'll save up between projects for the next project. The yarns that I do keep on stock, I try to keep a cotton to use for like washcloths, dishcloths. I try to keep a couple of sock yarns, something that when I completed larger projects and I want something small to work on, I will have that on hand. I also keep crochet thread on hand. It's fine, it's small, I have to use a small hook. It keeps me busy long enough to decide what I want to do next, because I am not going to crochet a big, large Afghan or blanket out of crochet thread. I do have my grandmother's crochet tablecloth that she used the thread with. I cannot do that. My mother and her grandmother, they crocheted lace. I cannot do that either. The thread is the smallest I can go. My favorite things to make with them, Mother likes the washcloths that are thin, so I'll make washcloths for her. Usually just a large granny square, about 8 to 9 inch, and then I'll put just the border around it, scallops or something. That's just mindless, sit and watch TV, whatever I want to do. I'm addicted to YouTube. I enjoy watching anything just about. Whether it's creepypastas, crime stories, tutorials, and especially like Vlogmas. Don't ask me why, but I love my Vlogmas. And Vlogtober. If you have any recommendations for Vlogmas, please let me know. There are a few that I watch steadily and really enjoy. Les with Not Quite Enough Yarn. This will be her third year, and I think she's going to do it again this year. She will take Christmas songs and rework those into yarn-related songs. One of them, I keep playing it through my mind, and it's just the way that she would, instead of her fa la la, she would have like knit 1 purl 2, knit 2 purl 1, and do the lyrics that would be more of what a knitter or a crocheter or even a spinner would understand. She is knit heavy, as am I, but she also does a lot of crochet. Another vlogger that I really like is Jude from Stranded Dye Works, but I seriously doubt he'll be doing anything for the rest of the year. Within a 5-week span, he recently lost both parents, so I'm not going to expect to hear anything from him till after the first of the year. Giddy knits. Helen does a few. She did Vlogmas for the past 3 years, I think, and all 3 of those are based in the UK. Here in the States, I really enjoy Kay, the Crazy Sock Lady. She does a Vlogmas. Great Scott Knits. He did Vlognica, and he would read a little bit out of the Torah and explain it, and then go on with his daily, which I enjoyed that. Things that I'd forgotten, didn't quite have interpreted the way that he interpreted them, and I just enjoyed, his take on all that. And I think Russ with It's Raining Yarn. He's got an advent that he's going to open, so that's going to be similar to a Vlogmas. So I'll be looking forward to watching those daily. And I know Spider Fiber has an advent that he's going to open, but I think he's going to do like 1 week at a time. I'm not sure about that, but he did say it would not be every day. And speaking of Craig, our world-renowned fiber spider, I would like to say congratulations, Craig. You have a very well-earned and a very well-fought-for 3,000 subscribers. 300K subscribers. I'll get it right one of these days. Anyway, congratulations. You've earned it. Enjoy it. And everyone appreciates you. I think that's about it. If you would, please hit the like, subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see next time. I do have a couple of crochet projects I want to work on, and they'll be small, but I've got an idea in mind. Part of it will be using one of Craig's tutorials, but I want to do a little twist on it and take his tutorial and put my twist and see how they merge together. And I think it'll work if it's going to do what I think it's going to do. But there's something I need to purchase first, because I need a contrasting color. I have the white, I just need either a blue or a red, or purple, or yellow, or green, or multicolor. We'll find out when I get it. Again, recommendations for Vlogmas, very much welcome. Even if it's, like what Russ is going to do, and opening Advents and show and tell. And do you do Advents? I've never done an Advent. I'm intrigued by it, and I'm also curious about it. I do like the Halloween idea better because you get 31 versus 25. But what will you do with all those minis? I mean, there's only so many afghans or scarves, and to me, it seems like there's not enough to make a big project, and I like my big projects. Sock minis, yeah, I can sort of see that, but I'm not into overly scrappy socks. I like scrappy socks, but not striped socks. Does that make any sense? No, it doesn't. Anyway, I've got a couple of scrappy socks I need to work on. For me, scrappy is cuffs one color, heels, toes. The three may be the same, they may not be the same, but the foot's usually the same, and it depends on how much of what I have left. That's why I like the Patton's Croy, the gray sock yarn. If I have a little bit of something I like my shorties, so that's all I need is 15 to 20 rows, the heel and a toe, and whatever I have left that will cover my big feet. US size 10 to 10 and a half. And if you wear a size 12 and up, then I'll have small feet. But if you wear a size 8 and down, then I would have big feet. Or if you are a child, I would have big feet. Either way, I'm babbling. I'm rambling. It's another Madman post. What can I say? It's been a day. The month is almost over. Please be safe. Be kind. Take care of yourself. And blessings, everyone.